What you guys are about to see is real trading on a real live Forex trading account. No demo profits, no nonsense like that. Let's take a look at this trade I took on CAD Swiss right now. Alright guys, sorry for the cutting in here. I actually have to re-voice over this section of the video because unfortunately my microphone was muted, which is very annoying, but whatever. We're taking a look at CAD Swiss here. I am looking at this area here as a potential area of support. I'm looking for a bounce off of this green zone, which I've marked as a potential demand zone. And you can see we've kind of got this little downward channel we've been rejecting recently. And this is a trade I'm showing right now that was a previous trade where I had attempted to go long. Unfortunately, it ended up being a break-even trade. But today I'm re-entering into the position. So I took 113,000 units to the long side just after support was hit. You can see where my current entry is. And if we scroll out here, you can kind of see what I'm looking at. So I've got my stop just below structure and I am risking $400 on the trade, looking for basically a move off of this level to continue the upward trend. My stop loss here, if price comes down to this level, what I'm pointing out right now, 113,000 units, I will take a loss, which is, by the way, I'm pointing out that this is 1.13 lots in terms of position size, in case you're not familiar with units. Now, basically the idea here is I'm risking small. I don't have a target and my goal is to try and see if we can catch a breakout of this little downward counter trend that we're seeing. And this level of support, this is pretty much what I'm banking off of right now, with the idea of basically a breakout of this downward channel to continue the overall upward trend. Now I'm applying the moving averages so you can kind of see what I'm looking at. We've got a really strong upward trend here on the 4-hour and the daily chart on CAD Swiss, and I'm just basically banking on this thing continuing. Okay, so the next thing I'm looking at here is the A1 EdgeFinder, which is our proprietary software that I use to find the trades that I take. And CAD Swiss ranked very highly on the overall ranking system that we have on the software. It has a ranking of 5, and you can see all the different metrics are pretty blue across the top. And I'm looking at the different metrics to get an idea of what I want to do. So COT data has a positive rating, meaning that overall the Canadian dollar is more attractive than the CHF. You can see CHF is in red here. The Canadian dollar is neutral, but slightly more to the bullish side in terms of institutional positioning. So I'm looking for a long bias on the CAD with a bearish bias on CHF. That's why we have a +1 in that category, telling us to be more biased towards long CAD Swiss. Retail sentiment, the crowd is short here. So if the crowd is massively short, I'm looking for longs. Seasonality, you can see the month of May historically is positive for this pair. So I'm betting on the long side for that. We have strong trend reading, GDP growth, inflation, unemployment, and interest rate has all been taken into account by this A1 EdgeFinder, our software tool. By the way, you guys, there's a link down below in the description. If you would like a copy of the A1 EdgeFinder, it is available. And there's actually a free version as well. So you can send a message to one of our team members. There's a Telegram link in the chat, or you can sign up to get a copy with a discounted rate here using the subscriber discount down below in the description. So that's the trade. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give it some time here. We'll pause and come back once things get moving again. Okay guys, so the trade is off to a great start. Obviously, we are floating around $670, which is awesome. And we actually just hit our first, well, actually both of our major levels of resistance that we highlighted as potential targets. You can see the first one being right here. So price jumped all the way up here this morning. And before I could even look at it again, we had another follow through move here, flying up to the high side and showing strength to get us up to our next major zone of resistance. So at this point, what we have seen now is a really impressive rally. And I think I've already moved my stop loss to break even. I was planning on jumping on here and trailing my stop or showing you guys that I just trailed the stop to break even, but I think it's actually time to go ahead and start locking in some profit on the trade. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to basically just move my stop loss just below this previous structure. And what you can see here is I'm locking in $257 on the trade. So we'll go ahead and do that. And there it goes, modified so that the trade has been locked in. So at this point, we no longer can lose money. And in fact, we're in a situation where we are going to make money no matter what. This is a great spot to be in with the trade. So let me go ahead and add a little bit to the markup as well. So we have this level that was our level of resistance, but now we have to mark as our support zone, which is awesome, right? We like to see that. We like to see resistance breaking when we're buying Obviously, who doesn't if you're long? And now we're sitting at this resistance point. So the reason that I've only trailed my stop loss here, you might be saying, well, Nick, why don't you just take profits right here, right? We're at resistance. Isn't it time to take profits? But if you're familiar with my trading strategy, you already know what I'm about to say. I like to go for the occasional big runners that happen in the currency market. It doesn't happen every day. If it did, I would be, living in a massive $500 million mansion, because it would be that easy. But it's not that easy, right? So we have to sort of approach this logically. And when I say that, what I mean by that is understand that this market could break out, but there's no guarantee. So what I'll do, my compromise is, okay, I still think this thing has upside. We're still in an upward trend. I think we have potential to break out of this previous high. But if it doesn't, I'll go ahead and secure the trade with a stop loss that has been trailed into profit. If this thing rolls over and fails to hold support, that will be my out of the trade conditions, right? So this is my approach to trading. I use a lot of if then in my logic. So if this thing reverses past levels of support, then I will take my profit of $250, give or take, which wouldn't be the best scenario, but of course it also wouldn't be the worst. The worst scenario would be, taking a full loss. We're already past that. Now, the other if then here is that if this thing breaks higher and continues on, then I will look to secure more profits along the way by trailing the stop loss and following price, especially if we can get a higher low, which is kind of what we saw here. We saw a higher low and then price exploded off of that. Looking good for me here, and I'm happy with the trade so far. So what I'll do, I'll pause the video, give it some more time, and we'll see if we can catch a bit more upside here on CAD Swiss. Last thing I wanted to add before I move on from this section is this trade was shared inside of our private Discord channel. Every trade that I share the full breakdown and reasoning why I take the trade. So you can see this was a re-enter that I shared inside of the private Discord community, which will be linked down below in the description if you would like to join us inside of our Discord channel. So there's the update. Like I said, I trailed this thing to break even, but now I'm about to type up a update for this trade that we have now locked in more profit. So I'm going to go secure that with the members inside of the Discord, and we'll come back once things have developed a little bit more. Well, guys, we are flying high here on CAD Swiss this morning, and I have just moved my stop loss here up just behind this previous swing low that we saw this morning. So wow, I mean, this is a crazy thing. I woke up this morning, price had made a good move. We were floating, I don't know, 600, 700 bucks. It was looking great. But then we pulled back. We found support here and rallied like crazy here. We're having a bit of a risk on coming into the market. We're seeing the stock market rise a little bit today, which is helping our position here as risk assets are getting a bid, causing CAD Swiss to benefit from that, as you've got the Canadian dollar versus the Swiss franc, which is historically like a super risk off currency. So that's what we're looking at today. We're looking really good, and we have now locked in on this trade. Let me double click my position here. There it is. We are sitting at $500 locked in. That's the worst case scenario. Man, I wish that was my scenario every day. Worst case, you make $500 in the day to keep the doctor away. That would be awesome. But, this is trading. Sometimes you take a $500 loss. But anyways, this thing is running really hot. Things are looking good. And there is no reason for me to stop this trade right now. If it reverses on me, that's a reason to stop the trade. A lot of times what I hear a lot of traders struggle with is they're like, I can never hold on to a winner. The thing is, right, if you never hold on to a winner, you'll never have a massive winner. And of course, that is my opinion and my philosophy in the markets. People have different approaches. They're like, oh, you're just being greedy, holding on to massive wins. But to me, the way to make money in the markets is to reverse what we all do as new traders, right? We hold on to losses and we beg the market to come back our direction. And when it never does, we blow the account. I like to do the exact opposite. I like to stubbornly hold on to winners. Let them tell me when I'm going to get out, when they're no longer winners. But as long as they're winners, I have no reason to stop holding. So I've actually just updated this trade alert to members inside of our private VIP. Link is down below in the description, by the way. I just updated this. So I took this trade earlier in the week, explained the full breakdown. You could see the kind of progression, the last update that we made, floating 475 bucks here, and now floating around $1,200, which is a great spot to be in with CAD Swiss. So from here, it is just a, let this trade run. If it decides to keep going, excellent. If it reverses on us, we'll take the 500 bucks. So that's where we're at with the trade. We'll pause, give it some more time, and come back soon. Hey guys, it's Sunday night and I am updating this position that I'm in a little bit, and I actually had a little bit of a thought that I wanted to share with you guys. So sometimes people ask me why I have a RSI on my chart, and there's a couple reasons for it. In the simplest form, the easiest answer I could give you is that the RSI is a visual tool for me. It is not a super predictive magical indicator or anything like that. But it's this really simple tool that I can use to visually back up what I'm looking at on the chart. And I'm going to show you exactly what I use it for in just a second here in terms of a movement here. So take a look at this. I've trailed my stop loss here on my position on up to just below this structural level. And visually, you can kind of see why. It probably makes a lot of sense to a lot of traders. They say, okay, you had a big impulsive move, and after this point, we did in fact continue higher with a new higher low formed. So it makes sense looking at that afterwards. You say, okay, yeah, we had a nice clear demand candle come in right here. You had a level of demand hold. And so we really wouldn't want to see this thing fail underneath there, because that could perhaps indicate some bearishness in the shorter term. Okay, so all those things considered, take a look at this. The RSI at this time printed an oversold status. So I was just looking at this thing and I was trying to decipher whether or not I wanted to lock in some more profit on this trade. And, by tomorrow, maybe this thing drops and I look like an idiot for not securing more. But let me tell you why I have not yet trailed my stop loss. In this instance, take a look at this with me here for a second. Let me see if I can get a horizontal line, or sorry, a vertical line. At this moment in the chart, we have price pulling back to a clear level of demand, but we also have an RSI oversold status, okay? What we as buyers of this market want to see is we want to see oversold readings holding very well. And that's exactly what we saw. So that was a confirmation. I said, now it's time to trail stops, not only because we've seen this thing rally off support, but we've also seen a instance in which markets went oversold and markets held to the buy side. We have not yet seen a new test and proof concept on this chart. If we in fact go underneath and we tap into oversold status, that will be a cue for me to go ahead. If we see a what I would call a proof of concept, I don't know, that's a fancy way of saying it, that could perhaps be an instance in which we start trailing stops further. But right now what we're doing is we're just floating in a gain situation. We're just seeing this thing rally and rally and rally. So for now, I would like to see another instance of that occur before I start trailing stops more. So perhaps what we see next, maybe going into tomorrow, is we see a dip, right? And something where we confirm, where we find buyers, and that would be an instance to secure profits. The reason I wait for an instant like that is because I don't want to trail stops too soon. If I was to trail stops like right here and the market just did this without ever reaching oversold or anything, we just got whipped out of a trade that we may not have necessarily been needed to get out of. So again, I just wanted to give you guys an update. I'm not making any actions on the trade at this moment, but I would like to just kind of give you guys some forward thought as to where we are looking for a V bounce. You don't necessarily need an RSI for this. You could just look for a clear, pullback strength. But to me, to just add a bit of metrics to it, I like to use the RSI printing oversold on a lower time frame just to show, that we have some strength here. So we should probably look to secure profits below that point in case it does fall beneath it. That's where we're at. I thought I would just update with you guys. One more thought I had is that we have last week's high printed on the screen here. So on this yellow line, if this thing does kind of break out higher, that will be awesome. We'll continue to let this thing run and just, as long as this thing wants to float, strong for a long time, we won't trail stops. We'll really be looking for a proof of concept, right? And then looking to trail stops. So that's where we're at. Pausing the video. Okay guys, so it is Monday morning. We are back on the chart and check this out. This concept that we talked about with this vertical lines, right? Looking to trail stops only after seeing a proper retest and continuation formation. We got it. So we waited here, and this, obviously this is I'm going to pat myself on the back, hindsight here, but I'm glad that I didn't put my stop loss, under a level like this. Even though it doesn't look terribly initially, the reason I wait for a little bit more of a retest before trying to trail stops is because normal healthy market moves involve pullbacks, continuations, etc. So for me now, we have got what we've been looking for. We can actually mark this as a clear area where price retested, showed strength, and we can go ahead and trail this stop loss. These red lines are just indicating points basically where the market tested, right? It came back and tested a low and found buyers again. We want to keep seeing that as long as we're staying in this trade, at least according to the way I trade. Like, that's what I'm kind of after. So with this said, it's now time to trail stops. So I can grab my trade, I can scroll it up here, and I'm going to lock in at this point about $1,000 on the trade. So this is a great spot to be in because in the worst case scenario, I cannot lose any money. And not only that, I can also make at the minimum around $1,000. So that's pretty good. I'll take that as an opportunity to go ahead and trail my stop loss. Again, going off of the fact that we did in fact retest some lows and found buyers to push us back up. The next question is, we've come up to last week's high, which I marked yesterday. And of course, we are seeing some rejection already. So it's amazing how simple, but yet, repeatable some charting concepts are. We are right back to the highs, and that is a psychological level for the market to try and overcome. So for the buyers today, we are watching to see if we can get an extension, breakout, and close outside of this range for continuation of this overall idea. So we're in a really good spot here. This trade, we initially risked about $400. So to be up floating at least $1,000 and right now floating about $1,500 is a great spot to be in. And I'm very happy with how this is playing out so far. Now what we'll do is we'll pause and we'll come back soon. All right, you guys, we are all out of the CAD Swiss trade. Price did ultimately come down here. It was looking really too good to be true, and that's probably right around when you should probably take profits. Of course, hindsight is 2020. We did end up taking profits here as price broke back down and actually collapsed just underneath my my level here that I had marked out. So I'm happy to take my profits on this trade. We locked out a profit of around $1,000 on this one position, which is awesome. Can't complain. There's not many other places in the world where I can make $1,000 just by sitting on my hands, being patient, and letting a winner run. So this is why I love trading. I love investing. The markets can be tough at times, but when you catch a nice winner, it can be really, really rewarding. So in the end, we held out. Ultimately, price did not hold the level of support. You can see it actually tried. If we zoom in here and we take a look at the 30-minute chart, you can see it attempted to jump off this level. It made an attempt and then failed. So that was our sign just to hop out. And from here, we will perhaps look for a re-entry at some point in the future. But for now, we'll take a profit and move on with the position. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe. And if you're new and you would like to join our private community, remember you can see every trade that I take, win and loss, inside of our private Discord channel. The link will be down below in the description. And you can also send us a message if you have any questions. There's a link to our Telegram chat there as well. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Looks like it's time for your next trading video. Check out the videos here and here for more free trading content that should help you in your trading journey. We try and keep it real here, so make sure to subscribe for more content that is down to earth, realistic Forex trading content. See you in the next video.